Hello, hello! I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write, where I give questionable writing advice through running metaphors. I have some massive channel news. This is episode 50. There's some nuance to the numbering system where I'm only counting the official episodes and not bonuses, but that means I have consistently put out 49 previous episodes every Monday night for almost a year. Yes, that means my YouTube anniversary is coming up, and I have a big live show planned for that, along with a special guest who's going to be coming on for the show. I'll give more details at the end of this episode, but here's a little hint to hold you over. She's not a professional author or writer, and so that episode's topic will be all about writing while maintaining relationships. I also have one other bonus tease for those who stick to the end of this video. Back to tonight's topic. I wanted to give a more important writing concept for my 50th episode, so this will be all about writing coaches and improving our writing skills. For those of you who are still watching the Flash show on CW like me, this season started with an episode where every character mentioned the phrase leveling up to the point where it got cringy. I'll try not to repeat myself as much as the characters in that episode did, but that's more or less what writing coaches do. Writing coaches work to improve our skills and provide specific feedback for works in progress. For a crude comparison, a writing coach is like a super beta reader who points out issues within the story, and then works with you to help identify what the problems are and collaborate on a solution. What is a writing coach and how do they work? Well, there are a lot of different things. My writing coach reviewed 10 to 20 pages of material every 2 weeks, and then we would meet for an hour to discuss each segment. These meetings pushed me to prepare my submissions and make them as well written as I was able so as to not waste my time or money. As the meetings happened every 2 weeks, they were spaced out enough to not be burdensome while letting me process and improve the chapters in the days between. Was it worth the time and money? Short answer, it depends. When I made the decision to hire a writing coach, I was in a critique partner and beta reader slump. I had found several to read my manuscripts, but their feedback varied wildly, often to the point of being unhelpful. Nicely put, there were a few readers who provided feedback that was self-contradictory. One beta reader in particular would take 2 weeks or more to provide feedback on a given chapter, and in the time between would forget everything that happened in the previous chapters, along with the events in the chapter they were currently working on. I went much deeper in the topic of where to find good beta readers and critique partners, and even though that video came out in 2021, the content should still be valid. So check it out if you haven't watched it already, or if you were like me where you were stuck in a feedback slump. Back when I was struggling to find helpful beta reader volunteers, I made the decision that I needed professional help in the form of a writing coach. I offset that cost by going very slowly, to the point where it took about a year to go through each of my 100,000 word manuscripts. I cared more about honing my craft and working on the stories I cared most about, so that pace worked. More than anything else, I needed clear guidance for my writing. To put these in running terms, when I ran my first half marathon, I went to my brother to come up with a training plan. He is an expert on the topic, and so I went back to him with each subsequent round. He taught me how to lower my time so that I was able to hit new personal bests with each race. A writing coach should work through problem areas in the material you send them and act as a sounding board for new ideas. However, they aren't there to fix every mistake, nor are they editors. I had a highly positive experience. My writing coach expanded my skills and showed me how to critically review my own work, both of which allowed me to exponentially improve as a writer. We walked through outlines and discussed potential plot holes. Based on my skeleton and outlines, she identified where I might struggle when it came time to write those chapters. Spoiler alert, it was in the swampy middles until we refined what I was going for within those chapters. More so than a beta reader, my writing coach provided support to motivate me along with specific points in the chapter that I needed to work on. It's not all positives. Writing coaches can be time consuming and pricey. I went through about 2 to 4 chapters every month, which means it took a full year to go through each novel. I could have met more frequently to finish faster, but that would have driven up the price. However, I turned a negative into a positive. In the time it took to go through the first manuscript, I was able to write its sequel, which was then queued up perfectly to review with my writing coach. The time frame I've explained and the price of $80 per session was comfortable for me, and I was happy with the results, though that may not be true for everyone. My advice is to go through a few beta readers before hiring a professional writing coach. Much like with an editor, that feedback loop will prevent you from wasting money on a manuscript only one person has self-edited. Unfortunately for me, I was stuck in a rut where the beta readers I was finding ended up ghosting me. Of the few chapters I sent, most never got past the first third of the novel. Based on those results, I decided to hire a professional writing coach to perform a similar job to a beta reader. That is not their job, but it ended up working out well for me. As I was finishing working through my first manuscript with my writing coach, I managed to find a great core group of beta readers and critique partners to provide future feedback for my manuscripts. That feels like a backwards process, but at the time, I had no idea where else to find help. Thankfully, that's changed as I become much more involved in the writing community. So to summarize, here are the positives of my writing coach experience. Number 1, I received detailed feedback about my works in progress. Now, I do want to distinguish that this was feedback and not reviews or opinions. I don't know whether my writing coach honestly liked my stories, but I know what she liked within them. Number 2, I was able to discuss and resolve plot holes as well as badly conveyed character motivations. Number 3, my writing coach guided me to fixing issues in pacing, prose, etc. Number 4, I learned how to self-edit my work until I reached a point of diminishing returns. After reviewing my first 2 manuscripts and discussing the outline for the third, I felt that I had advanced enough to no longer need my writing coach. That should be the goal of every coach. Circling back to running, I now come up with my own schedule and targets for my training plans. I feel that I've progressed enough within my skills and knowledge to do so. I have plenty of room to improve to drop my times down and hit new personal bests. Though in order to do so, I would need to mix up my schedule in ways that I don't want to do. Specifically, I need to add in speed drills and extra long runs, and I like my consistent weekly runs. Now for the bad side of hiring a writing coach, number 1, it can be pricey. Though each individual meeting was reasonably priced, the annual cost equated to a full developmental editor. Number 2, this was a slow process. I met about twice a month, and if I wanted to meet more frequently to work through my manuscripts faster, I would have driven up the cost per month. Based on that schedule, it was easy for my writing coach to forget the subtle events building from previous chapters. This meant that some of her advice didn't always work with the story I wanted to tell. Given the time frame, she made suggestions which broke character motivations or contradicted progress from an event several chapters prior to the current submission. That's perfectly understandable, as it may have been several months since she read the relevant chapters. She remembered a lot of critical details and gave great suggestions for threads to weave through the story. And lastly, number 3, writing coaches have their own tendencies, and at the end of the day, they're merely offering suggestions they think will help improve the story or our own writing skills. The woman I work with preferred to expand on details and setting to the point of excess. There were plenty of times where she wanted me to draw out scenes in ways that didn't impact the plot. For example, when a group of friends are sitting in an ice cream store, does it matter what each of them are eating? Sure, there is something to be said about showcasing each of the characters' tastes, but doing so spiraled my word counts without advancing the story. That brings me to a major point that a writing coach is an advisor. They can offer guidance, they can listen and contribute ideas, and they can offer their expertise. Most of the advice I received was outstanding. Some of the suggested changes, though, were the first things I trimmed in later revisions. Going back to my question of, is a writing coach worth it? For me, absolutely. The writer I was years ago needed to be pushed in ways I didn't know I needed, and helped in ways I wasn't finding elsewhere. However, I have since found a community and a strong support network, so that I feel I've graduated from needing a writing coach. She taught me how to get to where I'm comfortable as a writer to continue on my own, and to know when and where to ask for help. If you are looking to build confidence and competence while leveling up your craft and work in progress, then a writing coach will help. I know several of you listeners are writing coaches, so feel free to post in the comments if you want to self-promote. I have the utmost respect for writing coach services, and I learned a lot in the ways of refining my writing from the woman I worked with. Now on to those bonuses I promised at the start of this video. First of all, my YouTube anniversary is coming up on April 19th. I am eternally thankful for all of you out there who are watching my videos, offering your comments and support for my Running to Write channel. This has been a dream of mine, and I am humbled and amazed at how much support you've all offered. April 19th is a Tuesday, so that night I'll be hosting a live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Just so you know, that week I'll be replacing my normal Monday night upload videos with the live stream. My wife has graciously offered to join me and discuss how writing can impact a relationship. It may seem simple, but there were a lot of growing pains, especially when we lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment. At times, I was frustrated when my writing sprints were interrupted, and other times she was frustrated with how much I relied on her as my alpha reader. She is neither a writer nor a professional editor and has a lot of insight on how difficult it can be to have a writer as a romantic partner. I mean, let's face it, we can be quite difficult. Obviously, she supports my writing hobby, and there are many different aspects of that which we'll be addressing during the live stream. If you have any specific questions you'd like answered, feel free to post them in the comments. Or if you're uncomfortable doing so, then email me at runningtowrite@gmail.com. My email is listed below in the description. You can also just post those questions in the live stream to try and trip us up. So please join in on the live fun to have your questions answered as they come in. As added incentive, I'll be giving away prizes, from an Amazon gift card to some damn impressive artwork in the form of bookmarks. That brings me to the second bonus of tonight's episode, my official cover reveal teaser. I am astounded with how beautiful the cover design came out. Huge shout out to Meeble Art, who was able to bring my messy vision to life. I will include a link for them in the description below, and if you are looking for a cover design, I strongly encourage you to check them out. Here is the teaser reveal for Falling Through. I will be premiering the full cover design at the end of my anniversary show on April 19th, so all the more incentive to join us live that Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in this 50th episode of Running to Write. If you enjoy being coached on the writing process with my questionable advice, then please press those like and subscribe buttons. Let me know in those comments if you've hired a writing coach and how your experience went. Do you agree with my opinions, or is everything I said wrong? I post my running and writing progress on Instagram and Twitter as Running to Write, so be sure to follow me and join in with your own thoughts. See you next time. Until then, consider the resources available to you so you can level up your writing skills.